The cry in the darkness. The galaxy was silent, but it was not a peaceful silence. It was the silence of ruins, the silence of smoke rising from broken cities, the silence after a war where millions had already fallen. Among the ruins of a forgotten world there was movement. A small figure sat curled against a wall that was half burned and half turned to dust. It was a young alien girl. Her skin was covered with dirt, her eyes empty. Her voice was so soft that even the night could barely hear it. She whispered again and again the same words, "I'm broken. I'm nothing." Her voice cracked, but no one listened. No one ever listened. She was not a warrior. She was not a leader. She was not even useful to those who had survived the great destruction. She had lost everything. Her family, her home, her people. The city around her was dead. The stars above looked cold and distant, as if even the universe had abandoned her. The sound of boots echoed in the distance. Soldiers, mercenaries, survivors. She did not care who they were. They always passed her by. Some looked at her with disgust. Some ignored her completely. To them, she was worthless, just a broken piece of the galaxy's endless tragedy. One soldier spat on the ground near her. "Filthy thing," he muttered before walking away. The girl closed her eyes tighter, pulling her knees to her chest. She whispered again, trembling, "I'm broken, I'm nothing." But then, something different happened. The sound of steps stopped near her. Not rushing, not careless, but steady, calm. She felt a shadow fall over her small body. For a moment she thought it was another soldier ready to push her aside, but instead she heard a voice that was not cruel, not mocking, but warm. "Are you alone?" Her eyes opened slowly. There in front of her stood a human. He was not like the others. His uniform was torn, his face had scars, but his eyes held something she had not seen in a long time, something she had almost forgotten existed. Kindness. The girl looked away quickly, ashamed. Her voice shook as she whispered, "Go away. I'm dirty. I'm worthless." But the human did not go away. He bent down on one knee, close to her level. His voice stayed calm. "You are not worthless," he said softly. "You are someone." The girl shook her head. She did not believe him. No one had ever said such words to her. She waited for him to leave, to laugh, to call her nothing like everyone else did. But instead, he reached out his hand. His movements were gentle, patient, as if he knew that she was fragile, as if she was a jewel made of glass. The girl hesitated. Fear held her back. What if this was a trick? What if he was only pretending? But something in his eyes told her it was not a trick. He truly meant it. Slowly, he placed his hand under her arm. His strength was steady, but his touch was careful. And then, before she could protest, he lifted her into his arms. The alien girl gasped. Her body was so light, as if she carried no weight at all, but in his arms, she felt heavier than she had in years, because for the first time, someone treated her as if she mattered. The human held her, close, not like broken trash, not like a burden, but like a treasure, like something rare and precious. The girl's lips trembled. She wanted to tell him to stop, to drop her, to not waste his time. But her heart betrayed her. Her heart wanted to believe him, wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, she was not nothing. As he carried her away from the ruins, voices whispered in the distance. Soldiers sneered. Why save her? She's nothing but broken trash. But the human ignored them. His steps stayed strong. His arms did not let go. The girl closed her eyes again, but this time she did not whisper, "I'm broken." Instead, she whispered something else, a word she had not dared to speak in a long time. "Why?" Her voice was so soft that it almost vanished in the air. "Why do you care?" The human looked down at her. His voice was steady. "Because you are alive," he said, "and that is enough." The girl did not answer, but for the first time, a tear rolled down her cheek. It was not the tear of despair, but the tear of something else, something small and fragile, like a spark in the darkness, hope. And so the broken girl who had whispered again and again that she was nothing, was carried away in the arms of a human who saw her as something more. The ruins of the city still burned. The galaxy was still cruel and cold. But in that moment, In that single act of kindness, the darkness began to break, and for the first time, the girl's heart dared to ask, could she really be more than nothing? Could she really be precious? Like a jewel shining in the night? The human's choice. The night was long, and the ruins of the alien city stretched endlessly. Broken towers pointed at the sky like the bones of giants. Fires burned low, sending smoke into the air. In that endless silence, the human walked, carrying the girl in his arms. She was still trembling. Her eyes avoided his face. Her voice came out weak. Put me down. I'm not worth it. But the human did not stop. His arms were steady. His voice was calm. You don't get to decide your worth, he said. No one does. Not even you. The girl frowned. Her mind could not understand him. For so long she had been treated as trash, as something left behind. And now here was a man, a human, telling her she was something. She wanted to believe him, but fear held her heart like chains. They reached an abandoned street. A few survivors stood there, aliens of different kinds, ragged and hungry. Their eyes turned to the human and the girl. Some whispered, some laughed cruelly. Why carry her? One alien sneered. She is weak. She is nothing. Another added, humans always collect broken things. Maybe they like suffering. Laughter followed, sharp and bitter. The girl buried her face in the human's chest. She wanted to disappear. Every word from them felt like knives, confirming what she already believed. But the human stopped walking. His eyes met theirs, his voice turned strong. She is not broken, he said firmly. She is alive, and that is more than any of you can see. The crowd grew silent. Some looked away. Others spat on the ground. No one argued further. They could not understand, but his words carried a weight they could not ignore. The human turned and walked on, his step steady, his grip on her firm. The girl whispered again, Why do you defend me? I am nothing to you. His answer came without hesitation. Because you remind me of us, she blinked, confused. Us? Humans, he said. His voice was steady but filled with memory. Long ago we were broken too. We were weak. The galaxy laughed at us, ignored us, treated us as nothing, but we fought. We survived, and we learned one thing. No life is worthless. Not one. The girl stared at him. Her lips parted, but no words came. She felt a strange warmth in her chest, something she had not felt in years. As they moved further away from the ruined city, the human found a small shelter, half broken but safe from the cold wind. He set her down gently, wrapping a torn blanket around her. You will stay here tonight, he said. Tomorrow we move. This place is not safe. The girl shook her head. Why not leave me here? It would be easier for you. The human crouched, meeting her eyes. Because leaving you would mean losing the part of me that makes me human. Her heart stopped for a moment. She had never heard words like that before. Not from her people, not from anyone. She lowered her gaze, whispering, I don't understand you. He smiled faintly. You don't have to understand, just stay alive, that's enough for now. The night grew colder. Wind howled through the cracks of the shelter. The girl lay close to the fire the human started, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. Yet her mind replayed his words again and again, not worthless, not broken, alive. For the first time, the whisper inside her changed. Instead of, I am nothing, she found herself asking, what if he is right? But just as sleep was about to take her, a shadow moved outside the shelter. The human's eyes sharpened. His hand went to the weapon at his side. The girl sat up, frightened. What is it? He raised his hand, telling her to stay quiet. His body moved slowly to the door. Outside, faint voices drifted, harsh and cold. The human has her. She's valuable. Take her. Her heart froze. She knew that voice. It belonged to those who had hunted survivors, scavengers who traded lives for money. The human turned his head slightly, whispering to her, Stay behind me. His tone was calm, but his eyes burned with resolve. In that moment, the girl understood something. He was not just carrying her because he pitied her. He had chosen her, chosen to protect her, even when it meant danger, and that choice would change everything. The girl's small hands clutched the edge of the blanket. Her body still shook with fear. But her heart whispered something new, something fragile. Maybe I am worth protecting. And so, in the ruins of a dying world, with danger closing in, the human made his choice clear. Not just to save her, but to show her that broken things could still be precious. The journey of healing, the night passed slowly. The girl barely slept. Each sound outside made her heart race. Every shadow felt like a threat. But when she opened her eyes, she saw the human still awake, sitting near the fire. His weapon rested. On his lap, his eyes scanned the darkness. He had not slept, not even for a moment. He had watched over her all night. The girl sat up, wrapping the blanket tighter around herself. She whispered softly, You stayed awake for me." The human nodded. "You needed rest more than I did." She lowered her gaze, unsure of what to say. No one had ever done that for her before. No one had cared enough. When morning came, the world outside the shelter was gray and cold. The human gave her a small piece of food. It was rough, tasteless, but to her it felt like a gift. She hesitated before eating. "Why waste this on me? You need it more." The human shook his head. "We both need it," he said. "Survival is not for one, it's for both." The girl chewed slowly, her eyes studying him. Every word he spoke felt strange to her ears. For so long she had lived, in a world where only the strong were fed, only the useful were kept alive. But this human spoke differently. He acted differently. They left the shelter and began to walk. The ruins stretched for miles, broken stone, shattered ships, smoke rising from what once were homes. The girl walked close to him, her small steps struggling to keep up. At one point she stumbled. Her body too weak, she fell onto her knees. "I told you," she muttered, her voice breaking. "I'm useless, I can't even walk." But before despair could crush her again, the human crouched down in front of her. He turned his back toward her. "Climb on," he said. Her eyes widened. "What?" "Climb on," he repeated calmly. "I will carry you." Tears stung her eyes. She shook her head. "You'll grow tired. I'll only slow you down." But the human looked over his shoulder. "Listen to me, little one. You are not a burden. You are my choice." Her lips trembled. Slowly she climbed onto his back. Her arms wrapped around his shoulders. His steps were steady, his breathing calm, and for the first time in years she felt safe. As they moved forward, he began to talk, his voice steady, telling her stories of Earth. He spoke of wide oceans that shone like mirrors, of green forests that whispered in the wind, of children laughing in the streets of human cities. The girl listened in silence at first, but slowly her heart began to open. The way he spoke made her imagine it, an entire world where people lived, not just survived. "Your world sounds warm," she whispered. "Not like this." He nodded. "It is not perfect, but it is home, and home is something worth fighting for." She closed her eyes, imagining it. For a moment, she could almost feel the ocean breeze, almost hear the laughter, but their peace did not last. Shadows followed them in the distance. Shapes moved. Scavengers. Hunters. They were not safe. The human knew this, but he did not tell her. Instead, he walked faster, carrying her through broken roads and empty ruins. As the sun began to fall, they found another hiding place. This one deeper, safer, hidden under collapsed stone. The girl sat near the small fire he built, her hands shaking, her voice soft. "Why do you do this? Why do you keep helping me?" The human looked at her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he said, "Because you need someone to believe in you until you can believe in yourself." The words struck her heart. She felt tears well in her eyes. She looked away, whispering, "What if I never believe? What if I stay broken forever? The human leaned closer, his voice firm but gentle. Then I will carry you until you can stand, and when you can stand, I will still walk beside you. Her chest ached. She had no answer. Only tears rolled down her face. But they were not only tears of sorrow. They were something else. Something new, the first spark of healing. That night, as she lay close to the fire, she did not whisper, "I am nothing." Instead, her lips formed new words, so soft that even the human did not hear them. "I want to live." And though danger still lingered in the shadows, though the galaxy was still cruel, a change had begun. For the first time, the girl was not only surviving, she was slowly learning what it meant to be alive. The threat in the shadows, the night, was quiet, too quiet. The fire in their small shelter burned low, giving off only a faint glow. The girl lay close to the flames, her eyes heavy but restless. She could feel it. Something was out there. Something watching. The human sat near the entrance, his back straight, his weapon ready. He had felt it too. The air was wrong, the silence was heavy, as if the ruins themselves were holding their breath. The girl whispered, "They're coming, aren't they?" The human didn't answer at first. His eyes searched the darkness. Finally, he spoke in a calm voice. "Yes, but you don't need to fear. I am here." She trembled, her hands clenching the blanket. Her mind screamed that he would leave her, that he would save himself. But when she looked at him, she saw no fear in his eyes, only focus. A sudden noise broke the silence. A stone shifted outside, then another. Shadows moved, creeping along the ruins. Figures whispered in harsh voices. "There, inside. The human has her. She's worth a fortune. Alive. Kill him if you must, but bring the girl." The girl's blood turned cold. Her body froze in terror. She wanted to scream, but no sound came. The human stood slowly. Every movement controlled, he whispered over his shoulder. "Stay low, stay quiet." She nodded, pressing her small body against the wall. Her heart pounded so loudly she thought the hunters could hear it. Then it began. A flash of light. The crack of weapons, shadows rushed forward. The human moved like lightning. His weapon roared, sending sparks through the night. The girl covered her ears, fear choked her, but she couldn't look away. She watched him fight, his body strong, his steps steady. He moved with purpose, protecting the doorway, refusing to let the shadows inside. The hunters shouted in anger. "He's only one man. Take him down." But the human fought like many. His arms did not falter, his eyes burned with fire. He was not just fighting for himself, he was fighting for her. The girl shook, whispering to herself, "Why? Why risk your life for me?" As the battle raged, a hand grabbed her from behind. A hunter had slipped through a crack in the wall. His grip was rough, his voice cruel. "Got you, little prize," the girl screamed, her voice sharp in the night. The human spun around instantly, his eyes locked on her. "Let her go," he growled, his voice low, dangerous. The hunter laughed, pressing a blade close to the girl's throat. "Or what, human? She's worth more than your life." The girl's tears spilled down her cheeks. Her voice trembled. "Please, don't." For a heartbeat, the world froze. The fire flickered. The shadows held still. The human's eyes hardened. He raised his weapon, but his voice stayed steady. "You don't see her. You only see profit. But I see her for what she is. Precious." The hunter scoffed. "Precious? She's broken trash." But in that moment, the girl saw something she never expected. The human did not look afraid. He looked certain. His eyes told her one truth, that he would never let her go. Then, in a burst of movement, he struck. His weapon fired. The hunter fell. The girl collapsed into the human's arms, shaking, sobbing. "You're safe," he whispered, holding her close, his voice calm even though his body was bruised and blood-stained. "You're safe." She clung to him, her small hands gripping his torn uniform. Her voice was weak but clear. "Why do you always protect me?" He looked at her, his eyes softer now. Because the galaxy has enough darkness, you deserve light. Her heart broke all over again, but not in despair, in something else, something she didn't have a word for yet. Hope. When the night finally grew quiet, the hunters were gone. The ruins were silent again, but something had changed inside the girl. For the first time, she began to wonder if maybe she was not cursed, not worthless. Maybe she was being protected. For a reason, maybe she could become more than what she feared she was. As dawn approached, she sat beside the human, watching the sky turn pale. Her voice was soft, almost shy. If I stay with you, will I really find light? The human glanced at her, his eyes steady. You already have. And in that moment, the shadows that had haunted her heart began to fade. Not fully, not yet, but enough for her to take another breath, enough for her to whisper to herself, I'm still alive. The truth revealed. The morning light fell over the ruins like a pale shadow. Smoke still rose in the distance, and the air smelled of ash and iron. The girl sat close to the human, her knees pulled to her chest. Her body was tired, but her mind was restless. The night's attack still echoed in her head, the hunters' words, their cruel voices. She's valuable, she's worth a fortune. Her small hands clenched. She turned to the human, her voice trembling. Why did they want me? Why? Are they chasing me? The human looked at her for a long time, his eyes steady. His silence felt heavy, as if he carried an answer he did not want to speak. Tell me, she whispered. Please. I need to know. Finally, he sighed. His voice was low, careful. They are not chasing you because you are weak. They are chasing you because you are important. Her breath caught. Important? The word felt strange, unreal. She shook her head quickly. No. I'm not important. I'm nothing. I'm broken. But the human's gaze did not waver. You are the last, he said. The last heir of your people's bloodline. Girl froze. Her heart pounded. She stared at him, confused, terrified. What? That can't be true. My people are gone. My family is gone. Yes, the human said softly. They died protecting you. Her lips trembled. The world around her seemed to collapse, protecting me? He nodded. His voice was steady but filled with weight. They believed you carried something greater than yourself. You were hidden, kept safe while your people fought and fell. They gave their lives so you could live. Her hands shook. Violently, tears filled her eyes. She pressed her palms against her face, whispering again and again. No. No. I'm not worth that. I'm not worth it. The human reached forward, gently pulling her hands away, his voice firm but gentle. You are worth it. They believed in you, and I believe in you. She shook her head, struggling to breathe. But I can't be what they wanted. I'm weak, I'm broken, I can't lead, I can't save anyone. The human leaned closer, his eyes sharp, his voice unyielding. You don't have to be what they wanted. You just have to be you, and that is enough. Her tears fell freely, her voice cracked. But why me? Why not someone stronger? Why not someone better? He looked at her with quiet strength. Because sometimes the galaxy doesn't choose the strongest. Sometimes it chooses the one who has suffered, the one who understands pain. That kind of heart can change everything. The girl's chest ached. Her heart felt torn apart. The weight of her people's sacrifice pressed down on her. For so long she had called herself nothing, worthless, trash, and now she was told she was the last of her bloodline, a living legacy. She wanted to reject it, to run, to scream, but deep inside, a small voice whispered something new. What if it's true? What if I'm not nothing? The human watched her silently, letting her fight the storm inside. He knew the truth would crush her at first, but he also knew it could set her free. Hours passed. The girl sat in silence, staring at the ground. At last, she spoke, her voice soft and trembling. If I am the last, then I am cursed. Wherever I go, death follows. My people died for me, and now hunters want me dead too. Everyone suffers because of me. The human's eyes hardened. No, he said firmly. You are not a curse. You are a light. They chase you because they fear what you could become, and I will not let them take that from you. She looked at him, her eyes wide. Her voice broke. But what if I fail? His expression softened. Then you fail trying, and I will fail with you, but we will not stop because you are not alone anymore. Something inside her shifted. Her fear was still there, her pain still heavy, but the chains of worthlessness began to crack. She touched her chest with her small hand, whispering, "The last of my people." Me? The human nodded, his voice calm but strong. Yes, you, and you are not nothing. You are their hope, and now you are mine too. Her tears fell again, but this time they carried something else, not only sorrow but also meaning. For the first time she realized she was more than a survivor, more than broken pieces. She was the last of a people who had given everything for her. As night fell again, she lay close to the fire, her thoughts heavy. Her eyes closed slowly, but not with despair this time, with determination, weak but growing, and as she drifted into uneasy sleep, she whispered, so soft that only the human heard, "If I am the last, then I will try." The human smiled faintly, his voice barely above a whisper. "That is all I ask." And in the silence of the ruins, the truth had been revealed. The girl was not nothing. She was the last jewel of a fallen world. And soon, the galaxy would know, the battle for hope. The ruins no longer felt empty. They breathed with danger. Every stone, every shadow, every echo in the night carried a warning. The girl sat near the fire, her small hands pressed to her chest. The truth of who she was still burned inside her. She was the last, the final thread of her people's story, but with that truth came fear. If she was caught, it would all end. Her bloodline, her hope, her people's memory. All of it would vanish. The human stood near the entrance, watching the horizon. His eyes narrowed. He could feel it. Something was coming. The hunters would not stop. The girl was too valuable. To them at dawn the attack began. The sky shook with the roar of engines, scavenger ships hovering above. From the broken streets, armed figures appeared, their weapons gleaming, their voices filled the air. "Give us the girl," one shouted. "Step aside, human. She belongs to us." The girl clutched the blanket around her shoulders, her voice trembling. "They'll never stop. They'll keep coming because of me." The human turned, his eyes firm. "They come because they fear you, but they will not take you. Not while I stand." The girl's heart thudded. She wanted to tell him to run, to leave her. But the words died on her lips. She could see it in his eyes. He would never leave. The hunters advanced, weapons raised, shadows moved fast. The human stepped forward, standing between them and the girl, his weapon ready, his voice cut through the air like steel. "If you want her, you'll have to go through me." And then the battle began. Blasts of fire lit the ruins. Smoke and sparks filled the sky. The human fought with the strength of many. His every move precise, his every strike deadly. He moved not for himself, but for her. The girl watched, her body shaking, her heart torn. For so long she had called herself worthless, a burden. But now, someone was risking everything for her. One of the hunters broke through the fight, rushing toward her. The girl froze, fear gripping her chest. The hunter's blade gleamed, his voice cruel. "You're mine." Before she could scream, the human was there. His arm shielded her, his blade clashed with the enemy's, sparks flew. With a swift strike he drove the hunter back. His body shielded hers completely. "You will not touch her," he growled, his voice filled with fire. The girl's tears fell, her voice trembling. "Why? Why do you fight so hard for me?" He didn't turn to her. His eyes stayed on the enemy, his voice thundered. "Because you are not broken. You are hope." The words struck her like lightning. Her heart shook. Her fear clashed with something stronger, something she had not felt in years. Courage. The hunters kept coming, wave after wave. The human fought until his body bled, his strength pushed to the limit. Still, he did not fall. Still, he did not let them reach her. But the girl could see it. He could not fight forever. If she did, nothing, he would die for her, and then everything would be lost. Her small hands clenched into fists. Her breath came fast. She whispered to herself, "I'm not nothing. I'm not nothing." And then for the first time she rose. The hunters paused, staring at her. Her body still small, still fragile. But her eyes shone with something they had never seen. She stepped forward, standing beside the human. Her voice broke, but it carried through the chaos. "I am the last of my people. I am not worthless, I am not broken, and I will not run anymore." The human turned his head slightly. His eyes met hers. A faint smile touched his lips. "That's it," he whispered. "That's who you are." The hunters growled in anger. She must not live. But it was too late. The girl had changed. The fire inside her could no longer be crushed. Together, the human and the girl faced them. One with the strength of his arms, the other with the strength of her spirit. And in that moment, the ruins shook not with despair but with defiance. The hunters charged again, but the human's weapon roared. The girl's voice carried steady, clear. "We will not fall." And for the first time since her world had burned, she believed it. She was not just a broken child. She was the last jewel of a fallen people, and she was alive. The battle raged. The smoke rose high, but hope burned brighter. And the galaxy, watching from the shadows, would never forget the night when a broken girl stood beside a human. And together, they fought for more than survival. They fought for hope. The jewel of humanity. The battle ended with smoke rising over the ruins. The hunters who had come with greed and cruelty were scattered. Some lay broken. Others fled into the darkness. For now the silence returned, but it was not the same silence of despair. It was the silence after survival, after victory. The girl stood beside the human, her body trembling, her clothes torn, her face streaked with dirt and tears. Yet her eyes shone with something new. She was no longer whispering that she was nothing. Her heart beat with a truth she could not deny. She turned to him, her voice soft but steady. "I stood. I did not run." The human gave a faint smile, blood still on his hands, his body wounded but unbroken. "Yes," he said. "You stood, and that is more powerful than you know." Her lips quivered, tears returning, "But I was afraid." His gaze held hers, strong and certain. "Courage is not the absence of fear, little one. It is standing even when fear is heavy, and you did that." Her heart ached, but it was not the ache of emptiness. It was the ache of change, of something breaking and something new being born. She looked at her small hands, once shaking with despair, now steady with determination. "I am the last of my people," she whispered. "But I will not be the end." The human nodded, his voice calm. "Your people live through you, and you live because you chose to rise. That is not the end. That is a beginning." The girl's tears fell again, but this time they carried light. She wiped her face and whispered, "Then I will live, not as nothing, not as broken, but as someone." The human's eyes softened. He reached out, gently resting his hand on her shoulder. "You are not just someone," he said. "You are a jewel, and the galaxy will see it just as I do." She stared at him, her breath caught. A jewel. He had called her precious when the universe had called her trash. And now, for the first time, she believed it. The wind swept across the ruins, carrying away the smoke. The stars above looked closer, brighter, as if even the night was listening. The girl lifted her chin, her small voice steady but filled with fire. "Then let them come, let the galaxy see me. I will not whisper that I am nothing anymore." Her words echoed softly against the broken walls. And in that moment, she was no longer the frightened child who hid in the ashes. She was a survivor, a voice for her people, a light in the darkness. The human looked at her with quiet pride. He had seen this spark inside her from the very beginning. All it needed was someone to remind her she mattered. He stood tall, his weapon resting at his side. "The galaxy is vast," he said. "It will not always be kind. But remember, being precious does not mean being perfect. It means being irreplaceable. And you, little one, are irreplaceable." The girl placed her hand over her chest, feeling the beat of her heart, her voice soft but unshaken. "Then I will carry them. The memories, the hope, the light of my people. I will not let it die." She turned her gaze to the horizon, where the first light of dawn broke through the clouds. For the first time, she felt not only alive, but needed, and as the human stood beside her, silent and strong, she understood. She had been lifted from the ashes not to remain broken, but to shine. The galaxy had called her worthless, but a single human had called her priceless. And because of him, she would rise. From that day on, she would no longer whisper, "I am broken," she would declare with every breath, "I am someone." And together, the human and the last jewel of a fallen people walked forward into the dawn, carrying not despair but hope, a hope that would one day spread across the stars, a hope that proved once again why humanity was special, why, in the darkest corners of the galaxy, it was always humans who lit the fire.